it takes, okay? So welcome to Bridgeport Art Trail. Bridgeport Art Trail, bridgeportarttrail.org, Bridgeport Art Trail Open Mic Showcase. And we're gonna get started. I just wanted to mention a couple of things. I have the writers group that meets the first and second Saturday of each month, sponsored by City Lights Gallery. We're doing a Pachaka-cha this evening at the Bijou Theater at 6 p.m. You can visit ShannaTMeltonArts for information on the writers group. You can visit thebarnummuseum.com for information on the Pachaka-cha. It's 20 seconds and 20 slides to tell a story about your passion. And I want to also thank Open Road Poetry for the tech, the sound, all the pretty things you see, the slides, the pictures. They put love and energy. And we're going to open this giving thanks to the people who brought it together: Suzanne Cashmar, Bridgeport Art Trail, City Lights Gallery, Rescuepoetix, Crystal Letters, Shanna, me, and just the sponsors of Bridgeport Art Trail. So without Shanna running her mouth, we're going to get started. And I'm going to open the floor with a poem. And we were going to go into a poem from Nzima after mine. So mine is called Black History. Before this started, I wanted to dedicate it to Brittany Griner because we need to keep her in our hearts and minds. And I want to, it's a very different circumstance, but I also want to acknowledge Tiffany Cross. And I think so often we get made examples of throughout history. And both of these women deserve more than what they've been handed. And I pray for the safety and return of Brittany Griner. So Black history is not a theory. It is burn, blood, fire, song, prayer, praise, rise, resilience, ash. It is being seeds, being flesh, bone, skin, blood, reproduction, doing, making, inventing. It is deep breaths, deep sighs, deep stares, empathy, knowing and ignoring, disbelief and expectation, fear and faith, and more faith, and more faith, trying again and again, insanity, dismissing, made an example of, self-affirming. It is preparation. It is finding beauty in covering curves, straightening curls, muffling laughs, lightening complexions. It is glorifying skin and accentuating curves, crowned with curls, exuberant laughter, melanin, pride, bursting brown. It is shame misdirected, shame redirected. It is revelation. It is bending and breaking, finding yourself in the face of strangers, wonders of past life, tribes, making new tribes, families, soul-filled food, grandmother's kitchens, church pews, Bibles, Qurans, spirituals, sweat and stomp, twirling a hand into the arch of her back under music that sounds of weights pressing on an exhaled chest, a conquering. It's a revival. Next up, we're going to take a breath. We're going to open the floor. And we're going to welcome Nzima. Nzima Hutchings. Nzima Hutchings is an award-winning author. She has written 3 poetry books, an expressive writing workbook helping women to heal, discover, and also write the whole person acceptance. She has written several custom journals for various organizations. In addition, she is the curator, editor, and author of 2 bestseller poetry anthologies, Every Kind of Lady and Her Sisters pages, 2020 and 2022, thus publishing 30 plus women a year to share their unedited truth annually. As a literary artist, advocate, and teaching artist, Nzima has facilitated and taught writing to wellness, spoken word, writing for social justice workshops at the Hartford Arts Academy in partnership with Act Up Arts Theater Academy. I'm sorry if I say this wrong, Toivo Wellness Center, Trinity Health of New England and Connecticut Alliances, When Women Speak, Mount Holyoke College, and hosting a monthly creative writing workshop virtually. I have to say, I brought all these people together and I'm reading their bios, but to know me is to know I bring people of good character, people who I have seen do things with beautiful intention, and everyone who comes up here this evening. But I'm saying it now because I was moved to say it for Nzima. They're very important to Connecticut. They're very important to their own communities in their own states, because a lot of people are from different places. And I'm thankful for your time and presence here. So Nzima, hit it.
Thank you. Thank you. I am honored. I am so honored to be here. So, to no further ado, I like to say that a lot of my pieces are written for the women experience and other things. So, thank you for having me here. I will open with my staple poem, Every Kind of Lady. This is my signature poem. It is about acceptance, and anyone can fill in the blank. Constancy is an unfair brand of a lady. I think that I've been every kind of lady. Her and her too. The kind I didn't understand. The kind I feared, envied, yet I revered. The kind of lady that I might have shamed or wouldn't claim. The kind of lady that I gotta be. Yes, even that girl. Her and her too. The kind I couldn't stand or even forgive. The kind of lady that both lived and survived. The kind of lady I grieved. The kind of lady that I prayed heavily to be. The kind of lady I gotta be. Yes, every kind, even she. Poem. When women speak, four parts. Part one, Old World Phoenix. When women speak, she blows cloud rings from her lungs. She summons, she summons her newly fitted wings into place. She spills about turbulence using old words from old worlds and old tongues, formed out from the same old pain, the same gains, the same kind of holler, the same kind of love, giving sound and name to wild belly cries, primal and gut punch. See, when women speak, she speak rhythm without dance. And when she speak rhythm without dance. The scorch, crackling, invisible scars, the growth, the thick skin over skin after delicate trials and multiple tries. As she flicks and dusts ashes from her arms and armpits, spits, shines her penny color coated skin, her forearms, thighs, and feet, request and readjust her must and go tos and got tos, fluffs the chest and shape shifts to a born again flying phoenix. Part two, She Wind. When women speak, she speaks life into death, instigate blurs and entanglements between miraculous and mundane. When she speaks her pleasures, her voice becomes the soprano sky, the soprano song. purpling moons and the sky, the whistles and the wind, telling men they ain't a thing without women. See, when women be their reasons why, as she puts salt and butter in her grits, flip fried fish and skillets, then patiently makes free to be. Part 3, voices within hers. When women speak, she speaks. When women speak, she be the human experience, taking up space differently. Speaking out ladies from her chest. When she speaks, she remembers to keep their voice, their names moist in her mouth. And celebration, gangster and rotation of her front porch stories from her grands and for her grands and great grands and grands about the voice and vibrations of Oshun, Miriam, Medusa, Billy, and Empress Nina Simone. Part 4, speaking powers. When women speak, her voice creates jazz clubs in the mouth of the Atlantis. When women speak, she raises gravel from ground, salt from wounds, and ocean beds. When women speak, she grows little girl panties to big girls. She pulls roots from burning bushes and yellows down from rainbows, connecting ethereal to the physical. Poem. The old country, the oldest country. The oldest country parts of my body browned in mother's womb. Parts of that old country was given to a 16-year-old boy wearing a low fade and too much cologne willingly and fearfully on tattered superhero sheets. School was in when we walked out like thieves, not knowing the risks once in motion, there'd be no return to yesterday's innocence. Pierced brown skin done calloused and stretched, belly itched, been suckled and soaked and thickened. Dust of bone was exposed. On wings I purchased to fly my wandering country parts. Used everything I had, including day-old chewing gum to hold the broken parts together, for it spills from the rim of my mouth. And the teeth I have left be the youngest country trying to leave home, growing angled fangs, staining and cracking after cutting a few red moons and biting sorrows and hope under willow trees. Wrinkled, extra flesh crows' feet danced around on me like first-time kissed girls, dressed in white knee-high socks, pleated, pressed skirts, and penny loafers, Vaseline all shined up shiny and uncaring. The other side of my country part's not so country, not so touchable, more heathen than sin, more soul and primal. It be the outer country parts, more sashaying and jazz, not giving too much of a. The country sitting in my longing, the grieving inner shells, holding moldy sepia tatted stories, dried up made a drought, missing bayous and living butterflies. A vacuum, mirroring ashy black sand dunes, hollers at times, hollers like thirsty, scratchy men, all raspy like alcoholics late to the bootleggers. It be the hidden figures in my figure, screaming, shake loose my skin, unhold my cup, well, wet my throat. Because see, vacant homes need no bones. The oldest country on my body, littered with homelessness and got tos done sealed my crown, chest and trunk. I carry dark milk, swinging. Houses, colonies, filled with my ancestors' looking eyes, located in the folds of my braids and in between the knots of my spine. Poem. And die free. I said, die, live and die free. I said, live forever and die free. I said, live forever and die free. Build now, build legacies and release. Poem. The next piece that I am going to read is Balancing. And it's a recent poem, so here goes. We women have the power to empower men, our brethren, even our fathers, and our sons straight out of our hearts and wombs, out of our wombs before they grow and enter women. Help raises them to become the men women have been waiting for. That's what I implore. Not asking you to look for a man riding on a shiny horse, but we must remember divinity. Perhaps start with the God grant me the serenity prayer. Perhaps lean a little on heavier, on the power and strength and femininity by reclaiming our feminine principle or our principio femenino, and leave room for men to grow and let them cry out loud in the dark home. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you. That was incredible, Nzima. It's so introspective, culturally introspective, full. Wow. Show
Thank
some
you.
love for Nzima.
Thank you.
To the other poets, if you want, you can unmute yourself to clap. It's fine. In between poets, show them love, show them shouts.
Ooh, yes, yes.
Woo!
Yeah.
Mhm.
Awesome. Woo.
Thank you.
We
So
thank
it was an honor to be here, and look out for my upcoming things happening for 2023. Is this the time to
yes.
share?
Drop it
Okay.
on us, honey.
So March 11th, I have a Writers Women's Conference that will be downtown Hartford, and it's going to be a huge event full of women to share their stories at the Hartford Public Library. That's March 11th. I'm also involved in the Fred Hampton Project and Poetry Contest in New Haven, and that's set to come out next year. And also annually, I bring a Hartford Book Festival. I am the visionary and founder of Hartford's Lit. So that is happening in September. But before that, the Every Kind of Lady Company will be hosting and another group of women to go on a weekend long retreat, 3 days, where we have the opportunity to write our hearts out and heal, take in nature, connect with other women, sage circles, healing artists and visual artists. And of course, we will be writing our behinds off. And so that will be taking place in June, the second weekend of June. So I am putting out applications out. I received a mega grant to do some of these activities. So I'm excited. So that's me, Every Kind of Lady, Hartford's Lit, and Elm City Lit. And Elm City Lit is in New Haven, ran by Ife Michelle. And so we in partnership to bring some beautiful things for the Fred Hampton Project. So that's it. That's it. You can find my books on Amazon, a whole bunch of them. So
Okay, busy. I see you. And what's your website where they can find everything?
okay, so it's NZIMAHSE.com. However, if you follow me on Facebook, every kinda, that's kind a lady, every kinda lady. You can find, I'm always posting, or you look up Hartford's Lit on Instagram. I'm always posting. We actually have in-person. Michelle Obama have a new book, The Light We Carry. Hartford Reads in Color. I'm in partnership with the Hartford Public Library, and we're about to have like a huge book chat to discuss Michelle Obama's book, and that is coming at the end of this month. So yeah, we're excited. Instagram, Hartford's Lit, or Every Kind of Lady.
Awesome. Thank you, Nzima. Yay. So one of the things I'm doing this year that is different from the previous ones, I am a painter and a poet, and it's very important to me to highlight that in everything I do. When I was doing my open mic series regularly, I always had poets and painters. And so I want to carry that into this. And one of the people who I invited this evening is Duvian Montoya. He is the dopest, the illest, the greatest. I have to say this before his bio comes up, is that because if we could hold it for 1 second, I wanted that, leave that up, but I want to just say that what you do with paint is magical. Like people say that to me sometimes, and I'm like, okay, thank you. Because when you do the work, you don't always see it how other people see it. But just technically, we're gonna talk about the stories, we're gonna talk about the reasons, but just technically, the mathematics of it, you are a problem. And I am
Yeah, thank you. Thank
by
you.
that.
You're making me blush over here.
It's okay. Men should blush. It's a good thing. So we can go back to your slide now. I just had to put that out there.
No, thank you, Shanna.
So Duvian Montoya is an artist, muralist, studio manager, curator, and community organizer. His paintings, murals, and installations can be seen throughout Connecticut and are collected by Sono Collection, Housatonic Community College, the Mattituck Museum, Disney, and Gulfstream Worldwide. He co-founded 2 Fairfield County arts organizations, the St. Philip and Arts Guild Norwalk in 2009, and the Artist Collective of Westport in 2014. His current community project is Artistic and Educational Director at the Norwalk Art Space, where free art education is given to underserved high school students and where regional artists have a premier art space for exhibitions and programs. His IG is at Duvian Montoya.
Hmm.
That's a shining bio.
It's my smaller version, I guess.
Before I ask you my question, I want to bring up what you're currently doing, which is the Norwalk Art Space. Will you give people a little background on what that is, why it's there, and what you bring into that space?
Yeah. The art space was founded by Alexandra Corey, who was an attorney from New York, came to Westport and saw disparity between a Norwalk school system and a Westport school system, and wanted to help. So she bought this beautiful old building, church, outfitted it beautifully, but she passed away before we opened. And after she passed away, her family reached out to me to see how to engage the community. So I was really hesitant to take this on because being an artist and a painter, I knew how much of a commitment this would be. But the building was such a special gift to the for Connecticut and Norwalk that I felt like it was well worth taking this on. I've been able to showcase a lot of the great talent in Connecticut, Fairfield County, starting Norwalk mainly for the first year and a half. And we're slowly expanding out to the rest of Connecticut. But my main focus is to really highlight the great talent that exists here in Connecticut, and specifically Fairfield County. Because I always wanted that premier space in the area too. So I hope we could bring more and more to the community and to the artists.
You definitely will.
Mhm.
So I'm going to ask you a question, and you can give me whatever comes to your heart first. So what was your journey into painting?
It has to start when I was a kid, as a kid, I was always drawing, coloring, painting in my bedroom. quietly, secretly. No one knew about it. It was mine, and it was all mine. And I didn't share it with anyone because most of the people that knew me as a baseball player when I was younger. And so when I went to college was when I was like, okay, I'm not a baseball player and I want to follow this thing I do secretly. So after that, after going to Eastern Connecticut State University, I decided to come back home, go to NCC and get my portfolio, go to school in New York, and that set me off into painting. And painting was something that went really natural for me. I tried sculpture, jewelry, all sorts different forms of art, but painting was just came naturally. And I had those moments of working 10, 12, 15 hours in the studio and then coming back the next day and being totally surprised by the things I've done. And that to me was a way of connection, a way of speaking to the bigger self, to God, really. It was my way of prayer. I've always revered my family and my dad for having such a faith in God and the practice of prayer. And to me, painting is that practice to reaching another level.
I feel that way too. It's interesting because it's visual, but it still has all the words, right?
Yeah.
And it's like you can, I remember, you ever watch This Is It with Michael Jackson? And it was his last show before he passed away. And they show all the rehearsals that he goes through, and they played a note and he was like, that's not what it looks like. You know what I mean? And it's like, you can see it and you have to get that vision to meet in real life, to meet the vision in your mind.
Yeah.
And that's where you find the words, I think.
Well, and it's funny because that's being sort of this art director for the Newark Art Space. I see that in the kids that are coming in too. I see that they might not have words to communicate with their peers or with even the adults in the space. But once they start painting and drawing, they find themselves and they get more confident with themselves. And by the end of an 8-week session of classes, they're verbally communicating, and that's the power of art. And it's been great to see on that side, but as a painter too, I've known that's always been there, and that's always been my voice with my work, but to see it at such a younger age too has been really inspirational.
Yeah, it's like coming full circle from being the kids to showing the kids how.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I'm reading the questions because I want to ask you everything, but so I think about your work and its cultural impact. For example, the work you've done, and we'll show the pictures as we talk, because I want people to see your art as well. But like the cultural impact, like you have the work you've done about migrants and their contributions to the country, and the pandemic work. When you did that work, I thought it was so genius, right? Like we were all going through something, and I know a lot of artists have said like it was so hard to create at that time, right? And you had the foresight to say, well, what does this look like in this moment? How does it feel? And send your pictures to me. And that was really vulnerable, and people did. And when I saw the work that came from it, I thought it was so cool. So my question is, what do you think about when you come up with those ideas? What moves you, and what impact do you think that it has, or have you experienced it having on other people?
Yeah, I mean, I think the beauty of us artists is we're able to cope with a lot of things through our art. And I might not verbally be able to respond to certain things until I create. So it was through needing to create, to process the isolation that we were experiencing during COVID, that I was like, how can I better connect with the people I love without being able to hug or kiss or anyone, outside of my immediate family. So that's where my Reaching for Connection series really started from, was me wanting to do these portraits of the people I love and cared about, because it was my way of actually connecting with people without hugging, kissing, being in the same room with them. So painting was that relief for me. And then, it's hard not to be reactionary to the things that happen in the world as an artist. I mean, we're emotional human beings, and I especially wear my heart on my sleeve, and I think in my work as well.
And my final question is, when you transition from this place and your work is left behind, what do you want it to speak to? What do you want people to see and take from it? Do you feel like it's for them or for you to decide? Like, what perspective do you have on legacy?
Wow.
I didn't come to play, Duvian.
Of course I want to leave some sort of legacy. And my work is part of that. And I think my job as an artist is to reflect the times in which we lived. And I hope my work reflects that. I hope my work speaks to that. And I hope my work continues the language that we use every day, that helps to continue our journey visually in this world, and reflects our world. But wow, what a question.
It's a heavy one. We're showing everyone your art now, and we're showing what we've been speaking on. And I'm just wondering, as people look, if you have any closing thoughts about yourself, your work, and what's coming up for you in the near future.
Artistically, it's hard for me to think of canvases right now, because my brain has been so focused as a director and highlighting all the great talents in the area. But I've always evolved. My work has always evolved. It's always changed. It's always been reflective of the time. And I hope that when I do go back to the canvas and to the easel again, that it's going to be something refreshing, new, and heartfelt.
Yeah, I agree. And I have to say, because I've already said it to you before, I have done it where I get so caught up in helping others. And we appreciate you, Duvian. I think you should know that. Every time I go into that Norwalk art space, I'm like, thank God someone is doing this. We need this. I've been honored to share poetry in that space more than once. And it's so important, but it's equally as important that you keep creating, because your art matters. It matters to me. Your art matters. And I love being part of these same projects. Duvian and myself and Aisha, who you'll meet later, are all part of the Marian Eliza Freeman Reimagining Bridgeport project as well. That's how I met Duvian. And you did a great piece of Mary and Eliza Freeman, in which we will discuss in Aisha's interview a little further. But that piece is so inspiring. And every time I take students to see that exhibit, they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. When you go to Housatonic Community College, if you're in Bridgeport, check for Bridgeport Art Trail, especially. Look for Duvion Montoya in the Bridgeport exhibit.
Thank you. Thank you. That was an honor for me to do that piece, because one, I never knew that history of Little Liberia and Bridgeport, and to really, one thing I love about doing murals is that I try to represent the community in which it's going to be held. And I go sort of do research and everything, and finding all that amazing history in Bridgeport was great, and trying to bring those ladies back to life was just an honor.
Well, you rock that. And I'm very proud to be part of that with you.
Thank you.
Show some love for Duvion. Woo! Yay!
Yay, Duvion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You rock.
Thank you.
Phenomenal.
Amazing. So next up, thank you, Duvion. We're gonna have Rescue Poetix. I'm just gonna wait for her slide to give you her story, but she is the co-owner, along with Crystal Letters, of Open Road Poetry. They're the reason why we're here today on this beautiful Zoom, creating a beautiful experience. So meet the artist Rescue Poetix. Susan Justiano, Rescue Poetix, first Puerto Rican woman poet laureate of Jersey City, New Jersey. Say it with your chest. Rescue, the first Puerto Rican woman poet laureate of Jersey City, New Jersey, is a self-taught bilingual poet. Her passion for words started at age 9 with a dictionary, notebook, and the latest paperback she could get her hands on. Don't we all start like that? Praise the Lord. In 2006, Rescue Poetix emerged as a professional artist and entrepreneur. As a published and performing poet, she has recorded poems to music in English and Spanish, is deeply immersed in the arts across communities throughout New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, and Maryland, and she is developing a body of work that focuses on the rich linguistic diversity of poetry. Rescue Poetix. Poetry is motivational, uplifting, empowering, designed to connect on a level far deeper than what the eye can perceive. Spinning verses in Spanish and English, her words weave stories of strength, growth, experience, and love in its many evolving forms. Without further Shanna talking, welcome, Rescue Poetix.
Thank you, Shanna. That was a beautiful introduction. It is an honor and a privilege to be here among these incredible artists and to be part of this experience through the Bridgeport Art Trail. So thank you. Thank you to Crystal. Thank you to everyone else who is part of this incredible experience. I could extol the virtues of motherhood, tell of the wondrous ability to create life, praise the struggle of raising kids as a single parent, martyr this as my greatest accomplishment. I could hide my failures, asinine judgment calls, ass backwards decisions, the madness and chaos that followed, gloss it over, make it pretty. I could ignore the rage, having done so for years, runs in fishnet stockings, worn over varicose veins. That skin. Parchment paper edges singed, it's time to cut it away, peel it back, and grow a new one. Over scars my last relationship pried open, just to watch the blood flow. The hardest thing isn't to let go. The hardest thing isn't to let go. The hardest thing isn't to let go. The hardest thing is to move on. Rediscover who I am, as I am, where I am, no matter where that may be. Redefine who I am, not defined by motherhood, children, work, relationship, or any other human being. Stand where I am now. Redefine myself, who this is, where I'm going, and why. At the mouth of change, I dare to look back. My shedding scattered like breadcrumbs on a path I no longer travel. Maybe I like that. Today, I don't know how true that is. I do know that I have cut from me the need, the fear, the desire to return to the devil I know. Thank you. And that piece is called Shedding. This next piece is recently published, as a matter of fact, in Dreams in Hiding. It's an anthology, and a lot of my wonderful, wonderful peers and friends are part of that anthology as well. Your essence breathes, gives light to abstract ideas, strength to limbs and heart, strength to limbs and heart. There are no limits. Released from the chains of no, to be let loosed to savage and ravage the darkness, living for all its trials and tribulations and traps, always finds a way to give back. Taking the breath exhaled, exchanged for the one inhaled, pushing forth the air that when done will give life to another. Waste not the moments from which they come, these short breaths. Waste not those moments, for they are but moments. Give instead the breathless gratitude of your lungs as you release to another the breath for which you no longer use. While some read the poetry of these letters, breathe. Understand that in these words, in the poetry of this breath, in the poetry of my lungs is life. And through that life and through that giving, let there not be judgment of living of who should breathe stronger. Each breath is a show of strength, or how we rise and fall, no matter how deep or shallow. Each breath a work of art giving from a unique body, poetry of its own. Living begins with breathe. Each poetic release of a body, not to exist, but to live. Beyond the exhaling, living begins with breathe, not breath. Breathe. Inhale. Give life to ideas that otherwise would not flourish. Give life to ideas. Exhale, expel that which you no longer need or can use. Breathe to share life. Living begins with breathe. Thank you.
Yes.
Fantastic. Awesome.
Mm.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
Amazing.
You deserve every title you've earned. You've earned them, and your work is gorgeous. Rescue,
Thank you.
how do they find you on the internet?
Well, very easy. Rescue Poetix, RESCUE, Poetix, POETIX. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. I also have a lot of my stuff is recorded to music, so you'll find me on all the streaming platforms.
And on December 4th, you'll be.
And on December 4th, I'll be celebrating my birthday here in Jersey City at the Box Cafe. Crystal is hosting that. And I'm really excited to have a lot of my friends coming out and performing. And it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yes. So follow Rescue Poetix on all the social medias. Thank you for that beautiful share.
Thank you.
So we are going to talk with Aisha, and then we're going to go into Dennis, M.A. Dennis. Aisha, you with me?
Yes, I am. I'm here.
Hi, Ishi Boo.
Hi, how are you? Should I turn my camera on?
Yeah, we want to see
Okay.
the face. Crystal, can you hit me with the slide, please, for Aisha? Meet the artist Aisha Naila. Multi-layered abstract visual artist and educator, is influenced by her culture, the culture of Blackness, a connection to Africa, the hood, being Afro-Latina, Caribbean, African diasporan woman, loving color, and overall just trying to exhibit my energy through art. Born and raised by creative parents in the New York tri-state area, art is in her DNA. She's creative, she paints and collages, she photographs and designs. I hope that you have learned a little about her and you can now learn a little about yourself through her art. And we gonna enjoy, honey. We stay. So what are you doing this weekend in our Bridgeport Art Trail?
I've been working. I've been working the whole time. Actually, I haven't. I haven't actually been able to delve into anything because I've just been working through this project that I'm working on, trying to get it done.
Nice. Untold Colors of Culture. Yes. Shout out to Jermaine Arts on Instagram. I live in the hoodies.
Yeah.
I think all the people of our tribe live in those hoodies.
I think so too. This is my work hoodie. If you can't see my paint and stuff, I'm actually in the space that I'm working in right now. So I just found a quiet corner.
That's dope. It's huge too.
Mm-hmm.
So Aisha, what was your journey into the paint?
Well, I mean, like as a child, well, again, I grew up with creative parents. My father was a musician and an artist himself. So I've always been, painting in some form. And out of all of us, the few of us, I was the one who took to it the most. Like really, really digging into my art. I won a couple of competitions as a child and a few other things. So it was always kind of with me being creative and being an artist. I got my bachelor's in art therapy and I was working as a special ed paraprofessional. And so at that point I was in the schools and I really enjoyed it. So then I went to become a certified special ed teacher and I've been doing that for about 10 years. But in the meantime, while I was doing that as my career, you know what I mean? I was also, getting into my arts around 2010. I really started pushing myself as an artist and exhibiting things and curating. And then we ran a gallery, did a couple shows, blah, blah, blah. And it's been like that ever since. And then really the past 2 years since the pandemic, went home, stayed home. And I've been, full-time artist since. So I'm still an educator, but it's really everything that I've done so far in the past 2 years has been focusing solely on art.
So I'm gonna merge your second and third questions together.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Vivian were talking about it in our conversation, and it's the importance of the Mary and Eliza Freeman Center.
Okay.
The importance of that history to our city.
Mm-hmm.
And Mary and Eliza Freeman, Mary Freeman was one of the wealthiest people under P.T. Barnum when she was living, which was a Black woman in the 1830s and 40s.
Right.
The railroad, which is now Metro North and Amtrak Railroad.
Mm-hmm.
They had to buy her out. And that's how she got the money she did. And she was an entrepreneur, a businesswoman, her and her sister. There is a whole free Black community that existed in Bridgeport near Seaside Park. And the last two houses remaining are where the Mary and Eliza Freeman Center are doing the work to preserve those houses and turn them into a museum and literacy center. And we went through a training together with Maisa Tisdale, who is the director of the Freeman Center. And we did a project called Reimagining Little Liberia, and we all created art around that history. But right. Aisha took it next level and did the Mary and Eliza Freeman mural outside of the offices. And I want you to talk about the You did 2 historic buildings, right? The Majestic Theater and the Mary and Eliza Freeman. You didn't do the buildings, but you did the story. And so I want you to talk about the inspiration of those. I want you to talk about the things that people might not know from the surface, but you incorporated into, especially the Mary and Eliza mural. And how you came up with the way you envisioned them, their faces, their dispositions.
Okay, so I'll talk about the Mary and Eliza Freeman first. When I was first, actually I was doing the project first that is currently still at Housatonic. I was surprised when Maisa had actually asked me to do photography because, you know, I haven't been really exhibiting myself as a photographer. I really don't even know how she found some of the work that I did. But she had asked me to do photography for that first, and I was taken aback, and I did it obviously, and I loved it. And then for this to come back around, so this time around, when the DSSD had put out a call for artists, I was determined to get it, like absolutely determined to get it. I was like, listen, I'm Black. I'm a Black woman. I'm from Bridgeport. This is mine. I don't care who else applies. I don't care how long anybody else's resume is. This is going to be my project, and that's it. And that's really how I just went straight in for it. Initially, the image that I had was of 2 Black women back to back, kind of like a Rorschach blot. And it was the same face of a woman, but back to back, representing the 2 sisters. And it was just really, really colorful. And that was my initial introduction into saying, hey, I want to do this. And then when we had a call back and more conversations, I started to really think about it a little bit more to develop the idea. And I was like, you know, these women are incredibly important to this neighborhood and to the history of the city. And I want people to know why. So that's why I made it a point to make sure that I had the map in there, in creating it. And I wanted them, you know, pretty much like, you know, pillars on the side of that looking in, and that map in the middle, and then highlighting by way of making it a little bit bolder, their names on the map, and that's really actually an image of the map there, and make sure highlighting the railroad tracks at the top, because those were it was such an important thing. So even if you didn't know or inquired any further into who they were, you would understand that, okay, well, these 2 people and this place must be very important. And if you know Bridgeport, then you could see the streets and the names and kind of understand, okay, well, then something is happening here. Why is this map? Why are their names here? Who are these people? And it would make you a little bit more curious as to, you know, who they are. And, you know, in understanding them and getting a little bit of the history of who they were, you know, my understanding is that they weren't very flashy, although, you know, they could have been, you know what I mean? But they chose not to be very flashy. So, you know, initially I was going to create them and, you know, and have them with the nice hats and the, you know, and everything at that time. But because that wasn't who they were very hardworking and humble, but equally as important. So they needed to be large. They needed to, you needed to be able to see them directly face to face. I wanted to make sure that it was very clear that these are Black women by way of their features and everything. And that was it. And the colors, you know, I like everything I do is super colorful for the most part. But I didn't want them to be incredibly bright and blaring. I just wanted them to be, you know, a little bit more subtle. And that's why they're kind of a little earthy in terms of the tones of the colors. But I mean, it took us, to me, a couple of weeks, some Advil, my ladder. And that's really it. But, you know, I enjoyed it. I loved it. It's one of my best things. And that was my first major large scale mural project. So that was a challenge in and of itself, because I've painted big, but not to that extent. But I knew I could do it. I was pretty ambitious in that. The Majestic was the other one too. The Majestic, that was a call from the city for the Bridgeport 200 celebration. And that was to say that they wanted to commemorate the city, I guess you could say, by creating these murals around the city just to make it, and it wasn't through DSSE or anything. And they just wanted something, colorful and interesting. And for me, it was like, okay, so in this building, I wanted it to be beautiful. I wanted it to be bright. And the first thing I started thinking was like Park City, that's our nickname. So I wanted to, and at first I was going to put the words Park City in there in script, within the painting of it. But once I started doing it, I said, I like the idea of just having a beautiful abstract, something that touches on the idea of a floral. You know what I mean? So the pinks and the reds. And I wanted it to be heavy with a lot of green, and the leaf motif that's in there. And to give the idea of, just thinking of spring and flowers and what have you. I didn't want it to be so blatantly a nod to the nickname of the Park City. I wanted people to just see it and enjoy it. And again, it was another thing where, it was ambitious, and it was like, this is the space that we want you to do. Never done anything that big before, but I just knew, I woke up and said, yeah, I can do it. I know I got it. And that was it.
Did it, and you got it. And I love the leaves tell that story, the colors tell that story.
Mhm.
I think it's so important to have such bright, energetic art downtown.
Yes,
Just
exactly.
for the spirit of our community.
Right.
It's really, really, really powerful.
Yeah, and that was really what it is. I wanted people to feel just like wrapped in color, just watching people walk past a couple times, just sitting out there, because I like to sit and look at my art sometimes too. So I sat out there, of quite a few people, especially in the summertime, pulling over just to take their pictures and their selfies and what have you. And that was just fun. It's just fun to see other people enjoying it as much as I did in creating it. And this was creating it starting last December, and then coming back in the spring and finishing right before the summertime. So it was really enjoyable. It was a lot of work, but I loved it, and this just pushing me to keep trying to just continue to be very ambitious with my projects, going forward, and just taking on things that I've never done before. Just kind of like a challenge to myself,
You're not trying, you're doing.
I'm doing. You're absolutely right.
So the last question that I asked Duvian as well, but I want your perspective is, does your journey match your intentions? And when you transition from this experience, that is this experience in this world, and you're going on and your art is still here, what do you want it to say for you? Do you feel like you a legacy, an intention of a legacy, and what impact would you like it to make? I can already tell you, when those years from now, when those murals are still here, that's gonna
does my journey match my intention and my legacy? What is it leaving behind? I guess I practice Ifa, ancestor worship, and around that is the idea of your destiny, right? So although you take steps in multiple different directions and paths, if you are listening to yourself, if you're listening to your gut, if you're sitting with yourself, then you're always on the right path, right? So regardless of what direction I've done and other things that I've, paths that I've taken, I'm still going in the right direction and on the right path. And I wholeheartedly believe that and trust that, because a lot of times, I'll find myself in a position where it's like, oh my gosh, I got to go find another job, or, that kind of, and I'm a teacher. I could probably pop into any school now and just get a job. But I just keep stepping forward in my own passion for my art, and just creating and creating and creating. And the things that I need are literally just coming to me and just landing right in my hand. So I do believe maybe, yes, my journey is is aligned with my intention, because I'm just walking forward in that in the intention that I just want to create. You know what I mean? I create really around myself. What do I enjoy? What do I like? What do I think is beautiful? You know what I mean? And sometimes there's a theme of things, and other times it is just a one-off here, near. But really, I don't create for anybody other than myself. And I just love that other people enjoy it. So, and that's the thing with my art, is I really want people to feel the energy out of it. You know what I mean? So whatever I'm doing, I want you all to get the same energy that I was feeling when I was putting into it, by way of the colors, by way of the style, by way of all of that. And that's really the only intentions I have within my art. And I hope that when I'm not here and I'm on the other side looking back, that people get that, you know what I mean? That energy is still, that energy exchange is still in there somewhere. It doesn't lose that. And that's all I want. That's it.
They will. The colors, the energy is very, very pure and present. And I'm thankful to drive down the street and see these people I know doing amazing art in our community. So
And getting rich on the side, I can get rich on the side. That's,
oh, let's get rich on the side and the front,
yeah.
on top.
Yes.
Let's
right.
get
all around.
let's get rich everywhere. The tension is not the money, but artists to live, and artists do make money off their work, and there's no shame in having that as part of the. So, yeah, I think that's awesome.
Thank you.
How can people find you?
Oh, everything is Aisha, Aisha, Naila, Nailah. That's my actual name. My name means life, woman, the one who succeeds. My father was very intentional about my name, and he was insistent that my name is Aisha Naila. My parents named me that, and I always knew the meaning of my name, and I've always lived the meaning of my name. Like, touch back on that. But everything is Aisha Naila Arts. That's Instagram, that's Facebook, and my website is also AishaNailaArts.com.
Thank you, Ishibu.
Thank you.
You're not on Facebook under Ishibu, but it's
that's a me and you thing. That's us.
Thank you for taking.
Thank you. Love you, Shanna.
Show some love to Aisha. You can unmute yourself, give her love and claps and shout outs.
Well done. Thank you, Aisha.
Stunning. Absolutely beautiful.
Excellent. That was beautiful.
Love your work, Aisha.
Thank you. All right, enjoy. Back to work I go.
Can't wait to see it. Next up to the Zoom microphone, the Zoom room, is going to be Dennis, M.A. Dennis. Crystal, once you have his slide up, I met Dennis in my friend Fasiwe's writing group, which takes place on Tuesdays and Fridays at 7:15 a.m. It is nothing but the love of the Lord and writing that gets me up that early to create, but it's so worth it. And he is such a great contributor energetically and creatively to that group. So I'm honored to have him here and to share his work with the Bridgeport Art Trail and our community. So meet the artist, M.A. Dennis. M.A. Dennis is a poet, author, and essayist. He holds a degree in journalism and uses his platform to advocate for social change and to end homelessness. He lives in Staten Island, New York, with his pet rocks. Gibralator, Fraggle, Chris, and DJ. You can look for Dennis at M.A. Dennis 575 on Instagram and M_A_ Dennis on Twitter. M_A_ Dennis 575 on Instagram. So without further Shanna talking, let's welcome M.A. Dennis.
Poetry am I, I am caged bird singing cry freedom, releasing energy, flicker the wrists, nothing but swish. I am thunderous slam, unbottled black lightning striking twice, jab, jab, poetry with a mean left hook. Look at my poem dance like David around the ring, Alvin Ailey footwork. I am a progress in work, a newborn's cry, a medicinal laugh. I am poetry that'll get up in your mind, body, soul. I am Janet Jackson control. I am reckless, abandoned, flowing fluidly, a prisoner, being fed water and the autobiography of Malcolm X. I am muted breath of Underground Railroad passengers silently singing, "Who let the dogs out?" I am extroverted introvert, a poetic panhandler. Can anybody spare a penny, nickel, quarter, dime? I am poetry seeking change. I am poetry changing its name to spoken word because of an outstanding warrant, arrested development, living just enough for the city, pigeonholed, a dove's cry, trapped in a bar of soap. Don't drop me. I am the quicker picker up of the coming to America dream of immigrants from Zamunda. I am Dr. Martin Luther Prince, purple clad, the color of struggle, easy like Sunday. Digital Underground on Wednesday doing the Humpty Hump Day. I am the chance to do your dance. Boogie woogie to the rhythm. Naysayers, how dare you say different? If I ain't poetry, a Wookie ain't hairy. If I ain't poetry, a Catholic's favorite football play ain't the Hail Mary. I married poetry and became one flesh. Till death do us. Life is a poet's gift. If the dinosaurs had poetry, they would still exist. I am existential. I am concrete. A rose grew from me. I am poetry. A love poem that was banned by Overeaters Anonymous Literary Journal. Dairy Queen, can I be your Burger King? I mean, ever since you moved out of your mama's Waffle House, you've been living in that Pizza Hut. Now, what you need to do is move into my White Castle, where we could spend hassle-free days out back in the Olive Garden, playing checkers and dominoes. In the glow of love, we'll be basking. Robins fly by in the sky as the sun sets. I take a moment to reflect. TGIF. Thank God I found this lovely gem on a scale of 1 to 710. You are 711. Oh, thank heaven I hop for joy at the thought of us hand in hand with gold wedding bands underneath golden arches. It's like I'm Fred Astaire and you're my Ginger Roy Rogers. I love it when you call me Big Papa Johns. Word to Jimmy, you can pop eyes. You can pop eyes out of sockets that are glued to your body. It doesn't take a Johnny Rocket scientist to tell that must be jelly. 'Cause jam don't shake shack like that. And 4 out of 5 guys who never studied dentistry all agree KFC don't be as finger licking good as you. Look good enough to eat. So let's go grab some Subway seats. Get off at the next wing stop. Find a Hard Rock Cafe where we can sit outside Dunkin' Donuts and Starbucks coffee while having an intellectual conversation in which I will maintain direct eye contact, never staring at your Hooters. We are a perfect combination. We go together like salt and chipotle pepper or Ossie Davis and Ruby Tuesdays. D, I need you to help me Boston market my poetry because you know how to think in and outside the Jack in the Box, and I bet I'll make your Krispy Kreme rise to the top. Instead of calling me Dennis, I will have you crying now, Denny. I share my thoughts without charging a penny. If you were to ask me if a red lobster rolls by any other name smells just as sweet, I'd answer rhetorically. Arby's, the makers of honey, your Applebee's, that of my eye, numero unos is what you are to me. Translation, on my value meal menu, you are number one. So tell Wendy's, stop throwing me her Cinnabon, because I'm done living life in the fast food lane. And I swear on my Auntie Anne's life, I'm gonna make you my wife because you're the only one for whom my Taco Bell tolls, and it'll be a cold stone day in hell before I do you wrong. I'll give you more TLC than songs by T-Bar's Left Eye and Chili's. Baby back ribs. Sometimes baby got back plus Hardee's. Well, that can equal a Panera bread in the oven, but that's okay. With supersonic speed, I'll turn my man cave into Junior's nursery. I'm yearning for you to be with me. I mean, I know in the past, men have stabbed you in the back like Little Caesars did to Brutus, but if you can put that behind you, we can heal together. I mean, how can I panda express this to you? A brother like me can have any Chick-fil-A he wants, but you are the woman I choose to court. So the idea of us, please, give it some fast food for thought. Thank you.
Everybody, you can unmute and clap for Dennis.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
You had me at Cinnabon.
Ashley Davis and Ruby Tuesdays, that was fantastic.
No, if the dinosaurs had poetry, they would still exist. What?
Actually, today I released not me, but a poetry video was released for the first poem, I Poetry. I'll post it in the chat, or if one of the hosts can post it.
Yeah, and definitely post it on my arts page, because I would love for people to see that. Congrats. That was hilarious and also genius. Like all the connections, the subway seats. What? Like that was so smart. Oh my God. Thank you, Dennis. That was amazing.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Show some more love for Dennis.
Yeah.
Was it really banned, or was that just part of the poem to say it was banned?
Yeah, I was just cracking. I don't even think Over Here is Anonymous has a literary journal.
Okay, that made it controversial, like they
Yeah,
banning poetry.
Took poetic license on that one.
That's a whole nother conversation. Wow. That's dope. Thanks.
Brilliant.
Really, extremely. There we go. So meet the artist Crystal Letters. Crystal Davis is a multidisciplinary mixed media performance artist, poet, painter, writer, entrepreneur, and alumni from NJCU. She was born and raised in Jersey City, New Jersey, and is the author and creator at Crystal Letters CL and co-founder and co-producer of Open Road Poetry, a partnership between CL and rescuepoetix TM. CL and ORP have collaborated with arts and nonprofit organizations and artists nationally and internationally. Crystal will soon publish her debut collection of poetry and artwork, Elemental Emotions. That's a great title. Her work is inspired by nature, color, and the utilization of practical craft through art in the visual and written form. Show some love for Crystal Letters. Whoop, whoop. Let's go, girl.
Let's go.
Let's go.
You're muted, Star. We can't hear you.
Rookie mistake. Thank you. I just want to say thank you for having me, Shanna. I'm always honored to be on anything that is from Bridgeport Art Trail, or even just being in a room with poets that stimulate me and make me feel like I'm a part of the community that I really want to be in. And when I started my poetry journey, I realized that it was so much about trying to find, I was trying to find myself, and in finding myself in the poetry community, I was able to do that. So I just want to say I'm honored and thank you. So the first piece I'm going to start with is called Speak Your Truth. Speak your truth when no one is listening. Be the voice for the unheard, balance the scales of injustices. With your firm bellow and your shout, bring comfort in your gestures. Keep boundaries, but be boundless. You are an ocean in the middle of the universe. Your words can speak for the unspoken if you let them. It's time. It's time to be heard. It's time to speak your truth. Give birth to the freedom of words and give birth to the freedom of yourself. Thank you. And in holiday fashion, because I can't help it, and Dennis, your last piece made me hungry, so I'm going to read Cooking What You Taught Me. Cooking what you taught me depends on what you brought me. Check the fridge. I'm not a vegetarian. I like my milk, butter, eggs, my meats and my grains, and I've got recipes cooking up in my brain that I've yet to cast into the skillets, the pots and pans on my stove. I've got a treasure trove of spices, much similar to gold, if you know their worth. Whip up a plate for you. That's enough to unearth your hidden taste buds, know what I'm talking about? But I can cook an array of things that might make you want to pull out your grandma's wedding ring. Cooking what you taught me. Using dry herbs like maracas, simmering spices to produce the root of the music, pots as cauldrons, flames and choreographed, spoons and spatulas as wands that stir, turning clockwise to keep the tone in tune. The intent is pure, flavor that you'll savor. I can make grand split pea soup with smoked neck bones, melty lasagna with delicious ricotta, dad's barbecued ribs and crab cakes. I might even shell out some steamed or butterflied shrimp if that's what you desire. I'll catch you fresh fish, largemouth bass, whiting, catfish, striper, bluegill, fluke, and perch, fillet and debone, batter, fry, or bake. Mom's brown sugar rib tips, Thai chicken fried rice, masaman curry, Chinese bok choy and soy sauce, ginger turkey after our Thanksgiving potlucks, collard greens, string beans, and wrapped grape leaves, ground beef tacos with lettuce, tomatoes, sour cream, and homemade guacamole, chicken fajitas and quesadillas. My aunt's old boyfriend introduced me to pollo dominicano, arroz y frijoles con plátanos. Let's make a cubano, Swiss, jamon, pernil, with mayo and mustard and dill pickle, Nan's black-eyed peas for New Year's Eve to bring good luck. My cravings inspired me to learn how to make buttered chicken and garlic naan, Auntie C's Texas toast with garlic butter. I might tell you what my seasonings are, but I'll never divulge my secret ingredient, because what's up these sleeves, you wouldn't believe it. So to test the theory, I'll make it, you'll eat it. Mac and cheese, oh please don't get me started on the cheese. Cheddar, Gouda, Monterey, Provolone, Havarti, Limburger. I can make a damn good panini. Trust me, regardless of the meal, it will be hearty. Brie on crunchy fresh baguette from Zabar's, Cinderella's white fish and baked salmon spread. Cooking what you taught me. Matching up the ingredients to the flavors I've once tasted. These recipes are sacred things to me because they were taught through family and friends that live near and far. My very own buttercream frosting that delicately covers the top. That delicately covers the top of your midnight sweet tooth craving. A vanilla and chocolate 2-layered cake that won't take too long to bake. Shortbread cookies, almond biscottis, fruit tart, vanilla custard on the side. Hand-churned ice creams, my lover's delectably sweet strawberry sorbet. It's a damn good thing that my family is far and wide. Because of them, I am one step closer to merging the taste bud divide. And you are cracking me up. Thank you. The next piece that I wanted to do is Urban Garden. I think I wrote this about 2 weeks ago, so it's new. And here we go. I just wanted to dedicate a piece to all my plants because I love them so much, and obviously I really, really, really like green. Just part of who I am. Urban Garden. I want to stand majestically in my home, amongst my little green garden, which has grown tremendously since I left my parents' nest. My plant children greet me upon arrival. I hope to one day have floating shells with draping philodendra, although my string of pearls won't stay alive. While my fiddle fig tree is dormant, I look forward to the unfurling of new growth. When winter closes its windy mouth, when it gets warmer, I'll place a plot of catnip for my little alpha. I figure if he has plants of his own, he'll stop biting my Sansevieria. Thank you, thank you. And then I'm also going to do, I just want to say, Nzima, when you read in the very beginning, you mentioned Oshun, so you made me want to read a piece about Oshun. And this is from my upcoming book, Elemental Emotion. Oshun. You've got me shining, sunflowers blooming, curves look delicious, elevated, tapped into, turned, tuned. Solar plexus, gold, reflected, canopies of forest gardens, Oxum, danced in the river, kissed by the earth around her. Oshun leads me to the water. I wash the soles of my feet. I place the psalms in the palms of my empty hands and cradle them in the belly of her river. The water reaches my waist and engulfs me. I drink from her river, and she anoints me with her waters. Ochun surrounds me with her love. I become one with her. Sunshine refracting off of landscapes that follow curves and bends into the lake that is hers. Thank you very much. That's all for me. Thank you so much for having me.
That was great. Woo, love it.
I went and got the
I'm
rest.
hungry.
I went and got the rest of my chicken. You just made me look forward.
Right. The past 2 poems, I'm starting to notice a theme.
They're feeling the turkey day coming. That's
Food
what
is good.
food is good.
So can we
Next
get a
time-
sponsor from like Uber Eats or something for this?
Okay, Grubhub, do you hear us? Somebody.
You know, the ShannaTMeltonArts special.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yes. Okay. Discount everything. I'm here for it.
Family dinner, family dinner.
That would be dope, actually. Thank you, Crystal. That was really, really good. You made everybody hungry. And
I'm glad.
shout out to the ancestors, the divine beings, the ocean. So I wanted to bring Lori Lewis onto this conversation. And she is doing a very important work in how she's doing Wings for Peace. And Wings for Peace, I'm going to let her tell you about it, but I was honored to participate in it. So Lori Lewis is the founder and director of Wings for Peace, a national art movement to inspire peace and gun safety. The project is part of Artists for Peace, a grassroots coalition of artists for gun safety. By day, Lori is the Marketing and Communications Director for the Cultural Alliance of Fairfield County in Connecticut, a leading arts and culture network supporting a member base of nearly 600 artists, arts and cultural organizations in the 15 towns of coastal Fairfield County. I have to say, I am a proud recipient of the Cultural Alliance of Fairfield County's Art and Cultural Empowerment Award. I am a celebrated artist and I am so honored. Shout out to David Green, who does so much for artists. Whenever he can, he's there. He's there. Even when he can't, he's there. And he's brought Lori in with him. And, you know, it's no small feat, and there's a lot of art in Fairfield County. I don't know if you didn't know and you're missing it, you better hop on board the Love Boat, honey, because we have it going on. Bridgeport Arts Trail is an amazing full event. There's also artists in Stamford, there's in Norwalk, in Greenwich, in Westport. There's so many good events and so much creativity. And I'm really thankful to be part of this space, but also part of the Cultural Alliance, because a lot of times people ask you to be part of organizations and they don't really advocate, you're just there. But I have found in my experience that the Cultural Alliance has really advocated for me and made space for me. So I'm very proud of that and thankful for that. And I'm gonna let Lori start by talking about the Wings for Peace. If you follow me on Instagram, you see I've been posting wings once a month. My message for Wings for Peace is peace. Peace in America means love of humanity rising. And those wings are on exhibit in the Reed's Gallery downstairs. Well, I live in the building. The Reed's Gallery on Broad Street in Bridgeport. And it's a beautiful exhibit. And I'm proud to have my Wings for Peace, my statement against gun violence and towards gun safety. And I thank Lori for holding space for me in that project. So Lori, without me talking, I want you to start talking about the project. And Crystal, I want you to show her photos as she talks so everybody gets to see what we've created. Hit it.
Thank you so much. And thank you for the honor of being here. I keep trying to figure out why I'm so blessed to be here. And I realize that my talent is that I know how to surround myself with incredibly talented people. So I started the Wings for Peace project the day of the Uvalde shooting. I had what I can only describe as a little meltdown in the morning when I found out about it. And by the afternoon, that despair turned into action. And I contacted David Hogg, who is the Parkland survivor. Something just came over me to try to get in touch with him, and I did it through Twitter, never thinking he would answer me. I basically said, I just really need to do something, and I want to do it through art because I know the power of the arts. And he answered, and he said, yes, 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 we need more art. Art is so powerful, and give me a plan. So I sat down, and this whole entire plan came to me in one big rush, which was to start a nationwide art project, mainly public art, to inspire peace and gun safety. I brought it back to him. He put me in touch with Gracie Peckrell, who had an organization called Artists for Peace, and Wings for Peace became the first project for Artists for Peace. And basically what we did is we put a call out to artists, creatives of all kinds through a website, through Instagram, and we said, we want to know what peace in America means to you. And so we had an art project that lasted from July to October. July, you were to do a piece of art and just put the word peace on it. In August, it was Peace in America. In September, it was Peace in America means ... Don't forget the ... And in October, artists had the freedom to create a piece of art and just fill in the blank. And so this presentation will show you some of the different pieces of art, if you wouldn't mind doing that, Crystal, starting with some of the contributions we had. So this is a mural in Hartford at Parkville Market. And this was done by Julie Bergeron and CT Murals. And interestingly, Julie and Shanna and I were all in the CT, help me, Shanna, the Connecticut Center for Nonviolence. And we did the Kingian training together. And Julie just so happens became the artist on this piece. So that was super special. Peace in America means in the blue butterfly wings, if you could go to the next screen, you'll see, oh shoot, I guess it's not there. In those blue butterfly wings, there's all kinds of words that were contributed by at-risk kids who helped paint the mural. That last one, can you go back, Crystal, by chance? Or are you on a sliding? Okay, yeah. So this one is a butterfly garden at a bus stop where there's like 30 kids who wait for the bus. And this grew over 4 months. Those lights at the bottom are 21 lights for the 21 souls lost. The little birdhouse was made by the woman's grandson. And so she had him in mind when she was doing it as well. And she just built this and it just kept blossoming over the months. And the kids at the bus stop would, you know, be witness to that. And in the summertime, the butterflies were all flying around the project as well. So that was really special. By the way, wings we chose because wings are a symbol of peace, freedom, safety, protection, and most of all, new directions. So that was the point. Okay, the next one. This is from California. Peace in America means peace for our kids, and it's in front of One Spark Academy in Thousand Oaks, California, and it was done by Gracie Peckrell, who is Artist for Peace. She's also the 16-year-old who did all the portraits of the Parkland victims, and she gifted those portraits to the parents, and she kind of became a little famous for doing that. It was really emotional for her. So that's her piece. Next. This is just got put up this week in front of the Melton in Bridgeport. This was sketched out and art directed by Brad Noble, who just did the Men in Black mural in Bridgeport, and he also helped us do this. And this is Peace in America means, and you can't really see them, but there's all kinds of words there: kindness, humility, equanimity, all kinds of different words. And we had people come in from everywhere and add those words. So you can still see that. That'll be up indefinitely. If you can go to the next one, I think there's a picture. No. I just want to say the special part of that is I put out a call for anyone to come and help us on that mural. And a woman who works for Sandy Hook Promise came, and she and I did one of the butterflies together. So that was super special. This is right near Parkland, Florida. And it was a whole campaign done by a guy named Paul Livernice in New York. And it's Peace in America means compassion, being kind, seeking to understand, and I've forgotten what the last one was, but anyway, 4 different bus shelters near Parkland, Florida. Okay, next. Crystal. That's just a little close up. You can go to the next one. This one's really special. This is in Parkland. This woman or young woman did the squares that you see there after the Parkland shooting. It's all the victims of the Parkland shooting. And then if you'll go to the next one, she decided she wanted to combine the two projects. And so she did a little Wings for Peace rock and put it there. So I thought that was really special. Next. This is from New Mexico, an adorable little family, little children. Went the whole way, July through October, and it's sitting on a hill in New Mexico. Peace in America means safe schools. Next. This is in Westport, Darcy Hicks. You may know her. Westport Historical Society, I believe, or Westport Museum. So this is a community piece. Peace in America means, and then there's a big flower, and anyone who comes to visit the museum gets a little bee, and they can put whatever it means to them. Next. Another California, Peace in America means, I believe she said no more guns or stop gun violence. Next one. Oh, this is the one that I was talking about. That woman is from Sandy Hook. We got to do that one together. Next. Just a telephone pole. She actually never did finish that. She just said Peace in America means, and I guess she left it to whomever was walking by what it meant to them. And these are mine. These are glow-in-the-dark rocks in Woodmont. Peace in America means loving your neighbor. And my little signature thing that I've had, I used to work with youth groups for like 15 years. And I used to always say, just love. That was like our little thing. So I just added that. So it's love your neighbor and just love. This is in Jupiter, I believe. She put her wings in trees by her house. Next. This is in Chicago on a big, busy road, and you may recognize those green sneakers. I think Matthew McConaughey made a big deal about the green sneakers on, I believe her name was Amory, and how they had to identify her by the green sneakers, which is just devastating. Next. This is in New Canaan. And the final product, I don't have the picture here, but it had all different strings hanging down with all different words. And it's a ode to fashion and art. Next. Someone made a garden banner, and her son is gay, and so she wanted to do sort of an ode to that. And it was in the sailboats, it says tranquility, acceptance, and love. Next. And this is a video. I'll show you part of it, unless we're okay with time. This is a stop motion video. It's Peace in America Means Reconciliation by a woman in New York. Do you have the sound on it?
We're going to be careful with the music for the
Oh, yes, never mind. And we'll go to it. Turns into a heart. It's just beautiful. And you can see this on the Instagram channel if you want to see it with the music.
Lori, I'm just going to ask you a few questions as this plays.
Sure.
Well, really just one.
Sorry, okay, sorry. Peace in America means healing. This is up at a Metro North. You can go to the next one to show it's at a Metro North train station. Next. Say, this one is beautiful. It's all the wings, all the kids from Uvalde, the beautiful angels of Robb Elementary. Peace in America means freedom. As we got toward October, we had a message of voting for gun sense candidates. So everything we posted, we said, look up your gun sense candidate and vote for those people. Next. We were really honored to have Joel Pett, a syndicated cartoonist, give us the rights to some of his cartoons. That's Uncle Sam saying, I can explain. It's a really powerful piece. And what we did is we took his cartoons and then we wrote around it, this is Peace in America means no more excuses, and then vote for gun sense candidates. And then the next one is Peace in America means safe spaces, and it's about campus safety. The next one is Peace in America means taking action. And this one was a comment on, thoughts and prayers. And next, you can just see where that one of them is in Milford at the Milford train station. And a kiosk on Main Street. And this one was probably our most provocative one. Peace in America means no more radical white right wing. And you can see the right wing of the butterfly is detached. We even had some wearable art somebody sent in early on. And then this one is really powerful. There's writing in the hand and all throughout. Next. Miss Shanna, do you want to talk about this one? I love this so much.
Yes, I'm gonna come in and then ask you one more question and we're gonna keep going. I just wanted to say that those were all beautiful and I'm loving how people all over the country have been contributing. Mine are, my wings were Peace in America means love of humanity rising. And all the halos and the wings of the dragonflies, there's 21 representing the teachers and students who were murdered in Robb Elementary School. And like I said, you can see the wings down in the Reed's Art Space Gallery during Bridgeport Art Trail. Lori, the only question I asked, because you answered most of it, is what message do you or would you give to the families and the communities who see your project?
Oh, wow. Just know that there's so many people who just love and care about you, even though we don't know you. We connect with you in our hearts and in your pain. It's just incredibly devastating, and it doesn't have to be. And this is the only country where we have this issue. And it's complicated. There's all kinds of reasons why we just have to do something. We can't just do thoughts and prayers. And my hope was for this project was that we would challenge people to think, to not put up defenses when they see the art, that it would really get them to, in their own space, have a visceral reaction to the art and to hopefully create change. That's the whole idea. So the project was only supposed to last until October 24th. It was on the anniversary month, the date of every month. But we've had requests to just keep it open. So if you go to wingsforpeace.com, all the instructions are there of how to do it. But basically, it's just the prompt of Peace in America means. What does it mean to you? Create the piece of art, and whatever comes to you, tag us and we'll post it, and we'll just keep going until we don't get any more. So
hopefully we won't need any more. And I think that it's very important, if you have it in your heart to contribute to this program, or this project, that you do, and just take the inspiration that everything doesn't cost money. It could just be an idea and you put it into the world and see who latches on and connects to it. So thank you, Lori.
Thank you so much.
That was extraordinary. Show some love for Lori and her vision and all the people who have added to Wings for Peace. And also we say
Us. Love.
love and power towards all those lost to gun violence.
Hmm. Rest in peace. Live in poetry, live in art.
Yes. Amen.
Beautiful.
So Rare Epiphany, you are up next. And I want you to know that this woman is a singer. She's a poet. She's a mother. She could cook her face off. She wakes up at 7:15 in the morning and makes sure I feel seen in our little group when I'm half asleep. I have to say, my Sunrise Scribe tribe, they have a lot of patience because I'm like, I am not a morning person. And and Rare is so inspiring and such good energy, and she's done so much. And I want you all to follow her, understand her, listen to her sang her face off, listen to her poem her face off. So meet the artist Rare Epiphany. Rare Epiphany is a spoken word poet, author, singer, actress, and chef. I'm going to come through her Instagram pictures and gobble up her dinner. That's what's gonna happen until she gets here. So follow Rare Epiphany on the Instagram. And Rare Epiphany, hit it.
Hey, honored to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm just gonna pop in here. I'm gonna do this piece, and then I'm gonna pop out the way because I want to hear everybody else on here. But the title of this piece, ironically, is STEM or Shanna T. Melton. She is an artist. A gangster flower child inviting you into the wild and wonder of her mind, finds wells of melted rainbows in the treasure trove of her imagination, and then patiently dips the tips of brushes, maybe sponges or palette knife, and translates life into living color, vibrance, aliveness, dragonfly summers, and the slumber of fall upon butterfly wings, winter solstice singing through the crook and sway of trees, scratching melody on drum and wind, blending harmoniously into the free of spring, daisies and lightning on sun shower days, a radiant display of her mental magic. The vibrant tapestry of her mind finds a home on canvas, from hands with the lilt of a dancer, that ballet upon the page, or maybe Ikombi or Atilogo, a question in each brushstroke answered in light, in the quiet depths of contemplation, a legacy of intention, of concentration, an extension of the mosaic crafted from the hard material of scars and lessons learned, beauty earned from the past ashes, dots and dashes interpreted from the Morse code of her soul. She is an artist, not in part, but whole. It is not controlled by what she does. It is simply a reflection of who she is. And when she stands in the mirror, she can say that this is art.
OMG. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
Woo. Woo.
So I went to your page and I was looking at the pieces that you had on your page displayed for Bridgeport Art Trail, and that's where that came from, the pictures of the trees and the drums and the daisies and everything. And it made me feel like, okay, I've seen Shanna in Sunrise Tribe, and then I see these pictures and they tell me a story about who Shanna is. So I hope I did you justice.
Oh my God, I didn't even know you were gonna do that. And you tripled how seen I feel right now. And I really, thank you is not sufficient.
Thank you for being who you are, for what you do, for shining your light, for accommodating these types of platforms so that I get to see the beauty and the art in the world among the ugly that we see on a day-to-day basis, to know that there are gems out here, that there are pockets of people and artists and things that that radiate beauty and sunlight. And I appreciate that more than I could ever convey. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you. You're incredible. That was incredible. Thank you. Oh, Rare. I'm gonna hug you one day.
Yes, you will.
Big, big hugs. We have 2 poets remaining, and they're fire. They're beautiful. So please take this ride with us. Our next poet is Bryan Franco. Crystal, I need the slide, please. And wait till you see his hat. Ow. Meet the artist Generalissimo Bryan Franco. Bryan Franco is a gay Jewish poet from Brunswick, Maine. He competed with the Portland, Maine Rhythmic Cipher Slam Team in 2014 National Poetry Slam in Oakland, California. He has been published in the US, Australia, England, India, Ireland, and Scotland, and has featured for poetry events in the US, England. Wait, did I say that? No. Yes, okay. Ireland and Scotland. He was a finalist in the 2022 NAMI NAMI Dara X Laureate Expressive Arts Poetry Contest. I did that. He hosts Cafe Generalissimo Open Mic, is a member of the Beardo Bards of the Bardo Poetry Troupe, painter, sculptor, gardener, and culinary genius. Okay, we need to have a dinner party. His book, Everything I Think Is All in My Mind, was published in 2021 by Read or Green Books. You can follow Generalissimo on Facebook, Franco Bryan I, or in Instagram, gnrlsmo. Bryan, hit it.
Thank you. Let me pull up my poems. So the first is called A Random Act. It was a cold, drizzly December Maine afternoon. Not cold enough for snow, not a strong enough rain to call it real rain. It had snowed an inch or 3 that morning, not enough to take out a shovel, easy enough to drive through. The type of snow that gets melted away by a couple of 4 hours of rain. I drove the 45-minute weekly road trip to wait in line about 15 minutes to enter Trader Joe's and exited with 2 bags. I rolled my cart 2 parking lot aisles over to the cart receptacle, and while walking back to my car, I saw a woman holding several bouquets of flowers, carefully placing cellophane wrapped packages stem and down under windshield wipers. I asked her what she was doing. She said that on a day like today, she thought people wouldn't mind getting flowers from a stranger. She extended her right arm toward me and offered me a bouquet. I hesitated to accept, but accepted. I suddenly felt flattered and thanked her. She smiled and responded, just a random act of kindness. I got in my car and inspected the carnations and chrysanthemums that looked like they were painted with melted Skittles. I began to giggle. I felt a few warm tears roll down my cheek. I reached around to the pocket in the back of my seat, grabbed a roll of paper towels and tore one off to use as a Kleenex. I wiped my tears and blew my nose and started laughing again. I heard my mother's spirit tell me that crying when happy is genetic. Suddenly I could feel my father's arm stretched across my shoulders, giving me a gentle squeeze. Uncle Sam was offering me a slice of gooseberry pie for breakfast and a shot of after-dinner aquavit. Aunt Lila was explaining to me that Velveeta was the secret to a good pot of cheese grits. I think she would have approved of my version with Asiago, coconut milk, curry leaf, lime zest, and white pepper. Aunt Charlotte was tightly hugging me, acknowledging that her secret depression wasn't something I had to keep secret. Uncle Ralph offered me an ice-cold Fresca and told me he was no longer afraid to converse with his teenage nephew he thought might be gay. My friend of over 22 years, Beth, wasn't telling me she had decided to forgo chemotherapy, but instead was making her famous potato soup, while her giant yellow lab, Ebenezer, was asking me to rub its belly. This random act of kindness flooded my heart with sunshine. The sun was refusing me that cold, drizzly December May afternoon. This random act of kindness allowed me to feel a little less pandemic isolation sad, a little less afraid, and a little less alone. So this next poem I read at my mother's first Shiva, which is a Jewish tradition when friends and families gather to mourn and celebrate the life of a deceased person. And it's usually at the person's home or a family member's home. And it is called The Tree That Hugged Its Humans. The first house my parents bought, 11 Burton Drive in Atlanta, Georgia, was a split-level brick house with a magnolia tree in the front yard. The first and only house my parents built, 305 Fernhill Court in Mobile, Alabama, was a larger split-level brick house, oaks and pines dotting the front and backyards. As a surprise for Mom, Dad had a juvenile magnolia planted in the front yard. Rita Ann Papelatus Franco, aka Mommy Salami, was awed by magnolia blossoms. Unbeknownst to her husband, aka Good, this tree was male, which didn't bloom, but it grew tall with twisted, gnarled branches, leaves as large as my adult hands, rich forest green, crisp, slick, shiny, with velvety soft undersides. As beautiful and aromatic blossoms of magnolias are, the leaves give them their iconic strength of character. My mother's tree is now 41 years old, tall and wide as a New England town square Christmas tree. When Mom moved to a patio home in 1993, it was half its current size. I believe pieces of my family's souls live in that tree. The roots are my father digging deeper in the ground yearly, providing stability, season after season, milestone after milestone, hurricane after hurricane, barbecue after barbecue. The branches are my brothers and myself. The longer they grew, the more life we live, crushes, first dates, bar mitzvahs, graduations, college, adulthood. Mom is the leaves soaking in sunlight and nourishing her tree with unbridled love, absorbing ever-present rainstorms that plague Mobile, Alabama, and turmoil that beset our family. Rita, or A-Tier as Good called her, was a force to be reckoned with and was never without a hug for anyone in her family. After Mom died, I flew into Mobile from Maine. I asked my brother Paul to drive by the house. The tree was magnanimous. Paul stopped the car for a minute. We stared at a chunk of our history, then left for the funeral home to view the body. I knew if I walked over to the tree and touched a leaf, I would have been touched by my mother's soul, a soul that would find it impossible to not hug her son from the afterlife. And these are my food poems, since everyone's doing food. It's called Why the Greek Gods Hired Jewish Mothers as Personal Chefs. In Jewish households, a mother's brisket is a food of the gods. Honestly, pomegranates and figs are gorgeous, but a Jewish mama brisket cooked in the oven with long stringy onions on top and basted in its own juices is better than filet mignon or chateaubriand. When I hear the word brisket said aloud, my sensory memories go into overdrive. Why did I never ask Mom to teach me how she made hers? We'd host 20 to 30 guests for Rosh Hashanah and Passover, and there was never any leftover brisket. I think she poured beef broth and Worcestershire over the top and sprinkled the top with garlic, black pepper, and a packet of Lipton's onion soup mix, then topped it off with thin slices of freshly cut Spanish onions. She would pull out the pan every so often, suction its juices with a turkey baster, and drip the juices over the top. My dad would slice it thinly. The au jus gravy and stringy onions went into a side bowl. At the same time, she baked her famous pineapple golden raisin kugel. She always made a rice dish, usually with almonds and fresh stir-fried green beans. At the #1 spot on the buffet was her Greek salad with red onions, cukes, feta, unpitted Kalamata olives, half cherry tomatoes, and Ken's Steakhouse Greek dressing. Mom never made homemade Greek dressing, but her Greek salads were legendary. The multitasking skills to organize such dinners for so many people with everything always ready on time and never under or overcooked would put me in a straitjacket if I had to try so much at once. I was watching a show about Texas barbecue recently. They pulled a blackened brisket from a smoker, smoke wafting from its top. As they carved several slices, all my sensory memories could smell was Mom's Jewish mama brisket. And this next poem is called Once, Twice, Three Times a Gumbo. There's this thing about how we eat certain southern foods, what we eat them with, how we combine them on our forks and in our spoons before we eat them is as personally proprietary as how we load our dishwashers. My father made his famous gumbo only 3 times, on the Saturdays after his son's bar mitzvahs. There'd be an afternoon party at our 305 Fern Hill Court home, usually in conjunction with an Alabama football game. Dad started cooking the gumbo early in the morning. We all pitched in. We chopped fresh onions, celery, okra, and a few other veggies. There were beautiful, plump, fresh caught Gulf shrimp he got from his shrimp guy, and live crabs from a crab guy. The cooked crabs were broken apart just before serving. I remember him making a roux. He had special spices he bought from a Cajun butcher shop on the outskirts of New Orleans on the causeway along Lake Pontchartrain. The rice was Mahatma brand brown rice cooked in chicken broth, placed on a large baking pan under the ceiling fan atop the butcher block island in the center of the kitchen to let it air out and cool off before fluffing it and put in the oven till it was just warm enough for serving. The rice was spooned into a bowl and topped with crab pieces and gumbo. The thick, soupy liquid would slide between the grains of rice when you dipped your spoon into this delectable Creole stew, and it penetrated the rice like a shovel hitting a treasure chest. You knew something visceral would happen when the spoon entered your mouth. Thank you.
Everybody show some love for Brian. You can unmute yourself. Woo! Y'all a bunch of hungry poets.
Seriously.
Yes.
It's almost dinner time.
Hungry poets.
It was a beautiful testament to family though, and heritage. And that's something we need to keep in our sights right now.
Gracias.
De nada, homie. Thank you, Brian. Thank you for being here. Thank you for overcoming the challenges of logging in. You are awesome. And my brother from another mother, Khaiim RaPoet. If you don't follow him on Instagram, you're gonna need to do it because he's out in this world doing big things, right? And he's being so intentional about his work, and he's doing so many great things with young people. They're so inspired by him. We're both members of the Connecticut, are we members? We're art educators for the Connecticut Center of Nonviolence. We teach the 6 principles of nonviolence as created by Dr. King, and we incorporate it into our work. So meet the artist, rap poet Khaiim. Insightful, empowering hip hop lyrics from Hartford's inaugural troubadour. Bro, you a troubadour. First discovered and introduced to crowds by the hip hop icon Talib Kweli, Khaiim the Rap Poet has lectured on creativity and culture at Trinity, Yale, and other institutions, interested in breaking writer's block as well as stage fright. Before the COVID pandemic, his fans loved to catch him diving off stages, performing internationally with everyone from poets like Abiodun Oyewole, from The Last Poets, and Pulitzer Prize winner Alice Walker, to Grammy-winning MCs like Common and KRS-One. Hip-hop heads know him as Self-Suffice, the charismatic lyricist whose album with Dreamville's J. Cole, Mez Davis submitted the Indie Hip-Hop Top 40. His positive use of rap music has been recognized by Obama's White House, the New York Times, NPR, and others. You can follow Khaiim on Instagram, Facebook under Rap Poet. And you are like my brother from another mother.
Mhm.
And I am so proud to know you and to have you here. And without further Shanna talking, we are going to have Khaiim RaPoet.
Thank you for having me here. I want to shout out to my wife in the background who really cooked some amazing soup like
Hi,
an hour
wife.
ago.
I can't wait to meet you.
Shanna sending you love and a shout out for your patience. So all these poems about food is exactly, it's going down. It's
Man,
going down. We're gonna eat good today.
Doing someone said that. Abiodun makes space for all his poets coming up.
Say that.
People who don't have to, right? Amir
Say
Baraj
that.
does that, and Goma does that. Abiodun is such,
Salmon croquet.
yes, he's such a light. And
Yeah.
I'm so thankful to know him, but I'm also so thankful that he keeps doing his work. I'll shut go, Kai.
No, that's crucial. I mean, all of us as poets, sometimes we have our ups and downs and our struggles. And then you look at an elder poet like Abiodun, who's not only been continuing to write poetry, but hosting other poets, and not just for a couple years, for a couple decades, and not just doing it at his house and making sure even through the COVID, they did it by Zoom if you couldn't come to his house, but giving food, like you say. So I think that's just as important, if not more than anything I could say, because we all had these poems about food, right? So I think it's great to have people like that in our community to look up to and be like, well, I can't have too much of a struggle with these things I'm doing because I'm not feeding a whole community for the past 60 years, right? So like, let me have some bigger problems to complain about.
That part.
I love that. So I'm gonna read a piece. I think I'll just read one long piece, and it's inspired by the idea of polymaths, which are people that have you know, a wide range of knowledge that they put together. And the thing that I love in double entendres and poetry and the coded messages of like capoeira in Brazil, you know, self-defense, concealed in dancing and games, the slave spirituals, instructions and knowledge passed down concealed in music. This is why I even rap. This is why I even do poetry, because I understand it as a higher calling. It's what polymaths do, the ability to have pyramids that have encoded mathematics and formulas and ways for us to survive that are meant for the future. But sometimes you can't tell people right now because they might be too violent or too willing to use information to destroy each other. So I don't do poetry or rap just for entertainment. You know, I do it for because it's a purpose. I think it's a purpose to encode higher information and understand higher information from our ancestors. And so I wrote this poem, and it's actually based on the mathematic principle of exponents. And I hate, well, it's a pet peeve. I shouldn't say hate, but it's a pet peeve of mine when people analyze poets and authors and they go, they meant this, she meant that, she meant that, instead of realizing if they're doing art, they probably meant several things at the same time, right? And it's a journey, and it should be a journey. So this is based on Base 2 in mathematics, and there's a bunch of things encoded in this, but it should also just sound like a fun rap song for people who don't know that. And these boys could actually be girls too, for example. The boy from the projects, you think he'd be sad. The boy from the castle, you think he'd be glad, but the boy from the castle started to go mad. It was too late when he appreciated what he had. The boy from the projects would get mad too, but with things out of hand, managed to last through. Yeah, you might say he's poor, but he has an amazing way of making his way from bad situations. The boy in the castle felt like he was trapped, though, waiting for someone to save him and take him away from what he had and couldn't get away from. No matter what he did, what he had would enslave him. Scared what would happen to slaves in the basement if he unchained them and let them escape. When they tasted freedom, it could make them betray him, take him from thrown to the dungeon and make him pay for the days they is in isolation, ashamed and in pain, always praying for the day when they would overtake men for things they displayed. To the boy from the projects was not fascinating. He felt that the boy in the castle was wasting his imagination as these thoughts restrained him from chasing his fate, because the preoccupation with hate and the way he was raised wouldn't save him. This boy from the projects grew up. As the days went by, he survived hustling, gaining pace, spending chains, losing faith, and regaining a drive to remain in the world he was placed in. He came to a point where he had realizations about how to start, how to stop, how to change things. And girls on the block that he jocked would stop hating when he rocked popular name brands, they would chase him. The dudes that was rude in his hood did the same in a way, because they now gave him props and embraced him. When they heard the kid had a skill he was trained in, he learned from experience the best education. He found fascinating the way that things changed through sincere dedication, severe concentration, gaining so much fame in the craft that he strengthened that vast corporations all tried to retain him. But having amassed so much cash, he was patient. In fact, he remembered the way men ashamed him by making a stack off of Black exploitation and laughing at those without clothes and starvation. In fact, he knew most cats would back him and take him through gates to the halls of the sacred and great ones, someplace in the castle, to replace the face who was in domination that everyone blamed then. That boy from the castle could now see his fate, way too late for escaping. Flashbacks in his brain made him hate all the time in the past he was wasting his grasp on a nation with bad ultimatums. Be poor or be rich or be free or in chains. Now he saw those enslaved was the same liberating. Dichotomies worked from the angles he stayed in, but reality stole his polarization. From him and his sins, it was no separation. Amends he would make if he had compensation for those who would pray and be patiently waiting for change while he stayed saying, let them eat cake then. He never directly would hate on the next who we met, yet when they strayed from paths he was paved in, he stand in their way or just alienate them. Refuse conversations on cooperation. That cat from the projects who came from the basement of caste systems that couldn't stop and contain him. His race and his class was just categorizations to exaggerate any challenge's strangeness. He knew that he had no financial arrangements. He knew that his body would move where the brain went. He loved that his dreams were so real he could taste them. He proved that what's real came from imagination. Through hallways, the boy in the castle was pacing back and forth again, earnestly contemplating not death or material losses or gains, but what if he had listened instead of berating? That boy from the projects knew men would all praise him for bringing some change, but then gradually hate him. The boy from the castle knew nothing but pain, and he cried because he died without making a statement. But wait. Guess who strayed from attacking a safe in the castle and making the staff elevate him? The fact was he felt for the boy who was raised and believing his crown was for patronization. He glanced through a crack in the castle doorway where he saw that sad young lad in a passageway and thought, we look the same in the light and the shade, and we live in the same world of tragic mistakes. Then a thought came in mind to the boy simultaneously, beyond crying and dying and trying to seem like messiahs and lying and blaming confusions on innocent scapegoats and waiting. To survive, you gotta compromise with things you don't like, things that ain't right. You might die bringing the fight, bringing in light that you might not see in your life, but then your legacy beyond what your scenery like. People always ask, what are you? Where are you from? The typecast you in a palace of slum. You want to know about the bricks in my mama apartment, what direction it facing, if it got a carpet. You want to know about the bricks, the inner city politics, or how I was conceived, what my mother and father did, or you want to learn about the egg and the germ, evolution, regeneration, genetic manipulation, molecules, electrons, subatomic particles, leptons. See, this is where I think humanity stepped wrong. We take a perspective and then claim that we're intellects, making subjects out of other people and claim we're objective. Probabilities and statistics can be dangerous tools more than a time bomb placed in the brain of a fool. Every thought could be rethought in a way that is new. It's up to you, not what your mind and your body came through. Graduated the ivory tower from the projects is too. The most improbable events could take place and they do. And that's why we up here on Zoom. It's like a zoo. We got every kind of animal thought that you could view, from Connecticut to New Jersey, back to New Jeru. We taking the ancient prophecy that we will be cool. We taking the ancient prophecy that we would be you. We taking the ancient prophecy that we could eat food. Peace.
Wow, wow. Wow.
Oh, Khaiim RaPoet.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. Come on, spit.
From the minute you started reading, I heard Nikki Giovanni's line, when I die, don't let a white person write about me, because they'll never understand that Black love is Black wealth, right? And I think it's just people who don't know like what it looks like to still believe in yourself despite everything they put in front of you. You know, the war you fight, the things people who do that don't have good intentions, but you still have to have your vision in mind. Yes, Lori, that was church.
Preach, preach.
I wouldn't say like I was a rapper. When people ask what I did, I'd be like, I'm studying computer science, you know, anything but I'm a rapper, just because of other people's narrow-minded, bigoted, reductionist idea of what it meant. Like, no, I'm not a pimp. No, I'm not killing people. No, that's that. Like, I'm a griot. Like, I'm carrying on the tradition of thousands of years ago in the most efficient, equitable form possible, which is what we commonly know as rap right now. But, you know, finally, I just said, yeah, I'm a rapper. And for people who get it, they get it. For people who don't, it's encoded information. They're not supposed to get it.
Sometimes I go through a lot of anxiety about being an artist because it's hard. The struggle is real. You know, you literally have to fight for everything, especially when you're an artist of color. You're not only talking about nature and beautiful things and personal situations, but you also, I feel like we always feel like we have to speak for the culture as much as possible, you know, and there's like this pressure there to do it. And I feel it all the time, and it's an honor to do, but you really want to get it right. You know, it's never that simple. And I remember I was talking to my uncle one day, and my uncle is a famous blues musician. Shout out to him, Taj Mahal. And I called him one day and I said, Uncle Taj, and I went through all the reasons I didn't know if I was sure about my life. And he said to me, he said, well, look at that. The ancestors love you enough to show you what you need to do, so you won't have to spend the rest of your life wondering, like so many other people have to. I said, well, just shut me up then, you know? But that's what you're saying, right? Like, even with the challenges, this is not a choice. Not a choice.
Exactly. And it's a matter of, you know, what you can tell. I guess part of being an artist is you're trying to communicate. We have a need to communicate to people so much that instead of just saying blah, 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 or just using English, we'll come up with all these other sensory, interesting ways to really get the point across. And we got to forgive ourselves too for failing to do that, because it's beautiful to be able to care about something so much and understand it so much that you do want to share it. But it's equally beautiful that whoever receives our art has just as many beautiful ways to not hear it, because they're going through their journey and their whatever they're going through, whether it's enjoyable or not, right? So just like we have this ability to individually express and create and collaborate with each other, like we're doing right now, other people can collaborate with other things that distract them from us right now, right? So I think I'm giving myself more credit, and I hope all artists are, you know, can learn from us, you know, professional artists, that we have the same pain that like, it doesn't matter what you do. Like, you can't control how other people receive it. You can't make people happier than they're ready to be, or grieve sadder than they're ready to be. You can only show them that you're fully in the moment when you are. And then again, like just looking at the blues and looking at capoeira and these things that I'm reminding myself of, some of these things, it's a good thing that people always don't get what we're trying to say, you know, because sometimes you
God, you don't
get
understand.
destroyed, you get killed, if people know what you're saying, it can be, it's not always a great thing. So it's okay.
And you don't always want people to understand that level of heartbreak or disappointment either, right? Like the challenges. Hopefully, in some cases, they don't understand. And it's like Aisha was saying earlier, you have to write from your heart and create from your heart, and then hope people like it. And there's a ripple effect. But that's not why you create. You create so that you can have you can let that weight off your chest, you know, to get your words in the world. You're the epitome of that. I've watched for a long time.
You, me, we.
You,
You
me.
saying it. I'm just exclaiming what you're saying. You said it. It's like, how could we articulate? The best way I could articulate is like, you know, we do a lot of stuff, like you said, with youth and adults, but educating people and trying to help them along their way. And sometimes you'll see other educators like punishing people, especially youth, for the potential hurt they're going to cause. And it's like, they haven't caused that hurt yet, and they're not even that severely aware of it. So it's ironic that sometimes we as educators are causing that pain and trauma to these kids right now in order to avoid them from possibly causing it later, because we're so attached to how we have received words, symbols, sounds,
Our own traumas.
our own traumas. So I thought that would be a simpler way, but I realized that just sounded complicated to people don't get it too. But yeah, it's definitely true that you know, sometimes we can cause more pain by trying to tell people not to cause pain, right? Sometimes we can express something beautiful from the pain we've been through, and it's okay for people not to go through the pain that we went through to get it. It's okay, right? We don't want them to go through that pain.
And we don't control their destiny. They might have to go through it. You know, sometimes we want to save people from their own lessons and their own journeys, and they need them. We're not the gatekeepers.
Ashe.
I have
You
to
said
say,
it again. You said it again, Star.
I have to say thank you for you being here and for
My
your
pleasure.
and your wife. Shout out to your wife.
Yeah.
And your patience, because I really needed that energy, and I think we all did. And that testimony was a great way to bring this down, not down in a bad way, down in a we're gonna tie this up.
Down in a food way.
Yeah, because everybody gonna eat. I'll kill it with all these gravy.
Thank you all for letting me join in a cipher with you. It's a beautiful combination.
Yes,
It's
and
an
if
honor.
you find Khaiim RaPoet on Instagram and Facebook, and I've tagged everyone who participated in my flyer, but thank you to Bryan Franco, Nzima, rescuepoetix, Dennis, M.A. Dennis, Crystal Letters, Rare Epiphany, Khaiim RaPoet, Duvian, Montoya, Aisha, Naila, and Lori Lewis for sharing your work, your art, your love, your passion. Thank you for City Lights Gallery and the Bridgeport Arts Fest for sponsoring this event, for bringing us another opportunity to have the Bridgeport Art Trail and to be part of it. Make sure you supported the Bridgeport Art Trail this weekend just by showing up. And thank you to Open Road Poetry for holding us down in the back end with the tech and on the front end with all the visuals. And you all are so dope, and we're really thankful. And I am going to close the night with a poem, And once I'm done, Crystal and Rescue, once I read my poem, you can just let us out. So this was written in my Sunrise Scribe. You can follow Love Art Life if you're interested in the morning writers group. If you're interested in my writers group, it's the first and second Saturday of each month, and it's on the ShannaTMeltonArts page. But this is in response to two poems, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou and Sympathy by Paul Laurence Dunbar. And this poem is in response to both of those. Locked into the laws of man, time taken by his hand, limited by his plan, freedom confined to his vision. What of the bodies lessened by words? Brown woman impoverished, redlined without autonomy, aspiring for more, focused, forced to pay a toll. Freedom ain't free, they say. It could be if man didn't make it that way. Tariffs and tolls blocking our path. Freedom needs us to do spirit math because we were born into this gift called Earth. Can't trace back to the people who decided our worth, the ones who forgot that they were delivered. So it's only fair to deliver someone too. Going so far as to police a woman's womb, what happens when freedom stops flapping her wings, laid at the bottom of a cage, panting desperately, resolving there is just no place here for me, releasing her destiny. We would pray for her fight, wouldn't we? Pray that she causes a riot so we can hear her pleas. Pray that she battles incessantly. Pray for humanity to surface in those who hold the keys. What is the sky without birds? Wings waving at the earth. Push towards the sky, yelps and chirps echoing, reminders that there is more to life. Unlock the doors, let God win. Release the arrogance that limits divine wisdom. Release the freedom you want to resound. Freedom is free when faith is found. Thank you all. Blessings, keep writing, and follow us all on all the social medias.
Ashe.
Ashe.